Happy Earth Day. All year I've been telling you that on Earth Day I would read you the Lorax. I have several of you on a weekly basis who look up at my baker's rack that has all my books on it and you say, Miss Turner, will you read us the Lorax? Will you read us the Lorax? And I always say, I will read it to you when Earth Day comes. So the time has come to read the Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows and no birds ever sing except old crows is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there, and why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dark midnights in August, he peeks out of shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents in a nail in the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snoove, his secret strange hole in his grooveless groove. And he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. Slurp! Down sleeps the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old Onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through the snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had something smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time ago. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swami swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tuft of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloo suits, and they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts were much softer than silk, and they had sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill, with a great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a need. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazoop. I looked, and I saw something pop out of a stump of a tree I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I'm the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft? Lorax, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a greed. A needs to find something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fourth need." But that very next minute I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the need I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy, you could never tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Wutzler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken and sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, the factory I built, the whole Wutzler family was working full tilt. They were all kneading needs, just as busy as beads, to the sound of the chopping of truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We were making needs 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I am also in charge of the brown barbaloots who play in the shade of their barbaloo suits, and they happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Wutzler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to get bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads. At the needs I shipped out, I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering and selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everybody needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I'm the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled, he snargled, he sniffed. "Wutzler," he cried with a croofless croak. "Wutzler, you're making such smokeless smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape the smog you've smogged up around here." "What's more," snapped the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about gloopity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gloopity-gloop and sloppity-slop. And what do you have with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Wutzler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary." Then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, your Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs." And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face as he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that means, well, I just couldn't guess. That was a long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, called the Onceler. He let something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last of all. You're in charge of the last truffula seeds, and the truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest. Protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all his friends may come back. And so, if you've noticed in my classroom above our reading board, I have the word unless. And the inspiration for that comes from this book because I look at it every single day and it reminds me that unless we care a whole awful lot about something, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And so whatever it is that you care so much about, that you're very, very passionate about, I want you to use your very best efforts and to try to make a difference in this world. And on Earth Day today, I want you thinking about your impact on our world and what you can do to maybe help it some.